Welcome back, everyone. More so than ever, it is so important to talk about a lot of these budget tier devices. And I just came off talking about the iPad 8th generation, the Samsung Galaxy Tab A7, and even some iPhone SE2s, like some more budget phones. But one thing I can definitely tell you without a doubt is that there has been so many devices that have came out this year, but one of them I haven't talked about yet is the Samsung Galaxy Tab A, which is a device that came out last year that you can actually still pick up brand new from Best Buy, the Samsung, website, and a lot of other places as well. And what I actually did was I just went ahead and just walked into Best Buy one day, and I was just looking at the cheapest tablets that, people sold, and I saw that the Samsung Galaxy Tab A, the 8-inch one, was one of the cheaper ones, and I went ahead and bought it. And one thing that this device really gave me was like Nexus 7 type of vibes, even like Nexus 9, but Nexus 7 type of vibes, which was, in my opinion, one of the most important tablets that ever came out ever. It is a tablet that is still probably getting updates in the custom ROM community, which is beautiful, but with this specific tablet, it's very interesting because I think it costs less than $150. It may even cost less than $100 to some places, and you can probably get it in the used market for even cheaper than that. And physically, the way it feels in the hand is pretty much what you expect it to be. It definitely isn't a super premium device, and I don't really think it's going for that category, because if it was, it would have way less bezel on it, and it would probably be a little bit more functional in terms of just the way it feels and the way it performs. But I think for what it is at this moment, it really isn't even that bad of a tablet in my opinion, and I think that in and of itself really adds maybe a little bit more character to it at the end of the day, which I think is pretty impressive for sure. So the front of this thing does have that 8-inch panel, and it's 800 by 1280. That is the resolution of it. It definitely isn't the best resolution. It definitely isn't an amazing resolution, but I think it kind of gets the job done. You know what I mean? Like, it's definitely okay, and I think the panel is everyone's least worry. I don't think anybody's really worried about that, but it definitely isn't great. If you're trying to think like this is going to be something like a Galaxy Tab S7, or even something like an iPad 8th generation or even 6th generation, you are going to be getting a better looking screen from those specific iPads than this specific tablet in my opinion, which is totally okay, but it's also kind of unfortunate because Samsung makes really, really good panels. They especially make probably the best OLED panels we've ever seen, and they haven't really put it on any of their main tablets. I think they put it on a couple of them, but for the Tab S7 that has an IPS panel, this one has a TFT panel. So maybe putting more OLED panels would be really cool, even for their S7 and S8 and S9 lineup eventually in the future. Now, this thing does have a USB port on the bottom, which is great. And on the back, you have pretty much, I think it's like a plastic back kind of going on. It's not really like the best feeling thing in the world. It's definitely okay though. But you do have that single camera setup on the back, which I think is totally okay. Okay, it's an 8 megapixel sensor. It's full HD. Now, for the price tag and for the capability that this specific tablet has, I think for an Android tablet, it's probably one of the better priced ones, but it's just so crazy to me seeing the dynamic between like the Samsung Galaxy Tab, their budget model tablet, and like an iPad 8th generation or even a used iPad 6th generation that you can easily get for less than $200. That type of dynamic is super impressive to me because you can definitely get a lot more of a value from an iPad, even a cheaper budget iPad, especially one around this price tag, than compared to like a brand new Samsung Galaxy Tab. And even with the Tab A7 that I used the other day and I reviewed, I honestly didn't have that great of an experience with it, which is very sad. I was expecting to have a better experience. It really wasn't the case. I was getting very, very average performance from that. The screen wasn't even that great. The screen on this one may actually be a little bit better than that one, to be honest. But the camera still has the capability of taking photos and videos. And if you really needed it to, I mean, you could probably get by with it, but it's just not that great of a camera, if I'm being honest. It's very average. It'll, like I said, get the job done, but I don't think anybody's purposely trying to go out and use this tablet as like an everyday camera device. I think the way to look at this is basically, it's a specific, Android tablet, and if you need to, it has a camera, but I would not depend on it. I would rather have a Galaxy S5 camera than this specific camera, if I'm being honest. So the camera setup, at least it has a camera. That's the way I'm kind of going about it, but it definitely isn't that great. And even going into 2021, this is not a really dependable camera, if I'm being honest, but it's okay, it gets the job done, and I really don't think it's a crazy big deal, if I'm being honest, for this specific price tag. Now, what I think is an even bigger deal than this is probably the software. This thing is on One UI, which I think is great. It's on Android Pie right now, or was on Android Pie. It did get Android 10, and that's what I'm currently on for this specific tablet. And I don't know if it's getting Android 11, it may be. If it does, I will make an updated video and talking about that experience, but I I think how it holds up right now, I'm glad that it's not on a super outdated version of software. I'm glad it's not like on Android 7 or something like that. But also knowing Samsung, they tend to push out updates for their more expensive devices early on. And then if just by chance these specific tablets do get, Android, aka the next version of Android, which is Android 11 or whatever, it's not going to get it until the super last month. Like by the time Android 12 is already coming out, we are just going to be getting Android 11 on this thing, which is very sad because we're almost always like at least a couple months behind in terms of software updates for Samsung and for, LG devices and OnePlus. So OnePlus is really good, but for these tablets, you tend to be kind of more behind than not, which is very sad. With something like a, Samsung Galaxy Tab S7, you're going to be getting an update probably earlier than not, and it probably is already scheduled to be out before probably April or maybe even March or something. But with this one, I don't even know if it's on the schedule. I don't even know if it's getting it, to be honest. And I think the overall software features and everything are great. I'm glad that it does have somewhat of a gesture-based design that you can change to, but I do prefer using the buttons for time just because it is kind of a little bit of a smoother experience than the gestures, to be honest. So in terms of the software experience, that pretty much covers it up. But in terms of performance, this thing has that Qualcomm Snapdragon 429 chipset, a quad-core CPU, an Adreno 504 GPU, and only 2 gigabytes of RAM. Now there is a 32 gigabyte, storage model. That's only the storage model that you get, but it does have a micro SD card slot, which is great. But I will tell you, the performance of this tablet is definitely not that great, which is kind of expected. It's not smooth. It's not an amazingly fast tablet either. I wasn't even I didn't know what to expect from this because I didn't buy it with the, with the specific chipset in mind, with the price tag in mind. I just walked into Best Buy, like I said, and just bought it because it was one of the cheaper ones, and I was like, I can make a video about it. But in this specific case, this tablet would not be a tablet I would, recommend to people for using it if you wanted to use a tablet every single day. There were a lot of choppiness going on with this tablet. The performance wasn't that great. It was a very, very choppy experience overall. And like I said, the gesture-based design made it even, weirder to use. I prefer to using the buttons on this thing, which is another pretty big statement, I think, because I'm the type of person to use gestures way more often. But the big thing to keep in mind with these specific tablets is that you have to understand your use case. If you're buying it for your kid or something like that, and all they do is play games on it, then this is perfect because they're not really going to care, and they're probably not even going to want to play that often because it's not going to be an extremely fast, smooth experience, but they're not going to complain about it because they're kids. So that's one way to look at it, and that's one way I would probably recommend this tablet to be for more so, is for kids than actual professionals. But if you're somebody who wants to actually get a tablet and you're a student or you're a professional that had a job and you actually want to use your specific, tablet to get things done, to get by and all that stuff, then you're not really going to have too great of an experience with this specific tablet. You are going to have a way better experience, in my opinion, from a cheaper iPad, like an iPad 6th generation or 7th generation, or like a last gen iPad, even an iPad mini 4. You're going to be getting a better experience from that than this specific tablet, in my opinion. But on top of that, even like an older Tab S6, Galaxy Tab S6, and I think the Galaxy Tab S5 I could be mistaken, but those specific tablets too, I think you're going to be getting a better experience from those ones than this one as well. So keep that in mind. I'm not trying to, persuade you from not getting this one or only buying an iPad, but I would even probably recommend buying like a Chromebook or something like that over this thing. You can get them for around the same price, and those things are probably going to do you better too. So that's probably how it's sum up the performance of this thing. It's definitely okay. I would not go out of my way to specifically pick up this type of tablet, but if you're buying it for your kid or you just need something for the time being to just run Android on, then I think this is okay for the most part. So in terms of performance, that pretty much covers it up. Now, ending it off with the battery life, this thing does have a 5110 mAh battery, or just a 5100 mAh battery. And I will tell you, that's a pretty, actually, that this battery life on this device is probably its biggest asset, because it doesn't have the latest and greatest chipset, because it isn't extremely fast or is extremely insane or anything like that. So you're going to have a pretty okay experience with the battery life of the specific tablet. Now, it's not perfect. It's not going to, wow you, but for the price tag for everything, and because it is pretty, underpowered, you're probably going to be okay for the most part. So to kind of sum up this video and to answer the question, should you pick up the Galaxy Tab A, the 8-inch model in 2020? And the later part of 2020 for that? Well, like I stated before, I probably wouldn't recommend buying it anymore just because it is a little bit of a, slower specific tablet. I think at that time, or what it was, back in 2019 in June or July when it first came out, I think it was okay. It's not really an insane value per dollar. I think when Samsung first released this and everything, a lot of people may actually been comparing it to maybe something like the Samsung Galaxy Tab S6 or an iPad Pro or something like that. And I think that's okay to compare it to, but I just don't think it's that great of a specific tablet, if I'm being completely honest. This was, like I said, the 2019 model, so Best Buy, a lot of places are still selling it. It's not like I went out of my way to buy it. I just was there and it was there and I bought it. I think the Galaxy Tab A7 may be a better deal for some people, but I honestly think buying like a last gen Tab S6 or buying something like an iPad 7th generation or 6th generation or even an iPad 5th generation, like those iPads I think are going to be giving you a better experience overall than this specific tablet. So I would probably not recommend picking this specific tablet up anymore, but I would probably end up recommend picking up something like a Galaxy Tab A, the 2020 model, something like an iPad, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th generation, whichever one you can afford, or something even maybe like a Galaxy Tab A7. That may do you a little bit better, but I guess the Galaxy Tab A, that's pretty much how it kind of sum it up. If you guys have any other questions or anything, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count, so it means so much if you guys could hit that. Also check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my other channels. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.